Order number 6, notices of motion.
Chairperson, Committee on Delegated. What is it, Honorable Mudiga?
Honorable Speaker, I wanted to seek your indulgence on what the chair delegated has done, because I thought we were under notices of motion. If I have captured it well, she read the notice of motion, and I am now realizing it was under papers. She should have laid the paper first.
Chairperson, you're supposed to lay a paper, not to give a notice of motion. Is the paper ready? So Chairperson, that paper ready to lay? The Joint Committee, Delegated Agenda.
Mr. Speaker, sir, the paper is not ready. So I ask to be given 2 weeks. That will be after the recess, 3 weeks time.
Next order.
Order number 7, statements.
Leader of the Majority Party.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 47(2)A and 55 of the County Assembly Standing Orders, I rise to give a statement on the business of the County Assembly for the coming week. Mr. Speaker, sir, the following business has been tentatively scheduled to be transacted by the County Assembly in the coming week. Monday, 23rd September 2024. Papers and notices. 1. Tabling of the report of the Committee on ICT Education Internship on the issuance of financial year 2023-2024 bursary in Kikumbulu North Ward. Notice of motion shall be given as well. 2. Tabling of the report of the Committee on Devolution, Public Participation, County Administration, and Special Projects on non-payment of project management committees to various ward projects across the county. Statements. 1. Response to the statement regarding the water tannery as was requested by the member for Watenzi Ward. 2. Response of the statement regarding the Emali Mulala Rehabilitation Center as was requested by the member for Emali Mulala Ward. And 3. Response to the statement regarding the Kathonzweni Dairy Processing Plant as was requested by the member for Kathonzweni Ward. And 4. Response to the statement regarding the status of the Water Green Park as was requested by the member for Watenzi Ward. Motions. 1. Motion for the adoption of the report of the Committee on Devolution and Public Participation, County Administration and Special Programs on the operation of the Makueni County Public Service Board. 2. Motion of the adoption of the report of the Committee on Environment and Climate Change on the implementation status of the County Assembly resolutions of the Third Assembly. On Thursday, 24th September 2024, afternoon plenary, there will be statements. On statements, there will be a response to the statement regarding the submission of the Konza Technopolis Buffer Zone, Physical and Land Use Development Plan to the County Assembly of Makueni as was requested by the member for Muka Ward. 2. Response to the statement regarding the poor workmanship in the installation of covers on various roads in Thange Ward as was requested by the member for Thange Ward. 3. Response to the statement regarding the Makutano Talent Center in Ivingoni Zambani Ward as was requested by the member for Ivingoni Zambani Ward. 4. Response to the statement regarding the operationalization of the Dongoni Health Center in Inpatient Ward as was requested by the member for Ivingoni Zambani Ward. Motions. There will be a motion for the adoption of the report of the Committee on Lands, Urban Planning and Development on the implementation status of County Assembly resolutions of the Third Assembly. In the afternoon plenary, there will be on statements, there will be one, response to the statement regarding the expenditure of funds for sports development programs, League Mashinani in Kadonzweni Ward, as was requested by the member for Kadonzweni Ward. Two, there will be a response to the statement regarding the damming of Azanda's industrial waste into the Kabimao Dam, as was requested by the member for Muvauki Kumeni Ward. There will be a response to the statement regarding the construction of a decentralized treatment facility for Watertown, as was requested by the member for Watenzi Ward. Motions, there will be a motion for the adoption of the report of the Committee on Agriculture, Irrigation, Livestock, Fisheries and Cooperative Development on the petition regarding the Makueni Fruit Development Program, known as the Kilungu Ward as Avocado Project of 2023-2024. On Wednesday, 25th September 2024, on statement, there is the response for the statement regarding the non-operationalization of the Mukuyoni Sandy Dam project in Masongaleni Ward, as was requested by the member for Masongaleni Ward. Two, response to the statement regarding the lack of supply of transformer meant for Detani CTTI in Kikumbulu North Ward, as was requested by the member for Kikumbulu North Ward. There will be a response to the statement regarding the status of implementation of the Makueni County Universal Health Care Policy within Makueni County, as was requested by the member for Nzaui Kilili Kalamba Ward. There will be a response to the statement regarding operationalization of Makueni County Referral Hospital, as was requested by the member for Nzaui Kilili Kalamba Ward. There will be a response to the statement regarding solid waste management in the county, as was requested by the member for Nzaui Kilili Kalamba Ward. On motions, there will be a motion for the adoption of the report of the Committee on Water and Sanitation on the implementation status of the County Assembly resolutions of the Third Assembly. Mr. Speaker, sir, there shall be a meeting of the County Assembly Business Committee on Monday, 23rd September 2024 at 9 a.m. and pursuant to the decision of that meeting, additional business may be scheduled to be transacted by the County Assembly during that week. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Member for Cloud to request a statement of Chairperson of the Committee on Health Officers.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, pursuant to the provisions of Article 185, Part 3 of the Constitution of Kenya, 2010, Section 39, Part 2 of the County Government Act, 2012, that is the revised version, 2020, and the Standing Order 50 of Makueni County Assembly Standing Orders, I rise to request for a statement from the Chairperson, Committee on Health Services regarding the ongoing construction of Katangini maternity in Kalawa Ward. Mr. Speaker, sir, the construction of the maternity, modern maternity wing at the Katangini dispensary is currently ongoing. The maternity has been equipped with washrooms, washing sinks, and a flush to match its modern status. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, sir, however, the ongoing construction has left in the BQ vital components that would accompany the facility with the above mentioned structures. And these structures include septic tank, incinerator, and a placenta feed. All these are very necessary for the proper and complete functionality of the maternity. Mr. Speaker, sir, the missing structures have not been detailed in the BQ, which simply means their construction is not in the ongoing plan. Without the missing structures, Mr. Speaker, the facility may not be operational upon its completion. Hence, its construction will serve no purpose. Mr. Speaker, sir, the chairperson should therefore clarify on the following. A, the department is aware that the designs at the bill of quantities left out the construction of septic tank, incinerator, and a placenta feed at the ongoing construction. Was it an oversight in the development of the plan, or that is how the initial plans and designs were? B, Mr. Speaker, was the construction of such vital structures which would ensure the proper functionality of the facility left out during the preparation of bill of quantities? C, how is the maternity expected to operate without a septic tank for the waste water from the wash sinks, washrooms, and the flush toilets, an incinerator for disposal of the hazardous waste, and a placenta feed for disposal of placenta? D, Mr. Speaker, now that the construction of missing structures is not detailed in the BQ, what are the plans for the construction of these structures of the same, and when will this be done? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chairperson.
Honorable Speaker, we will ask the member to allow us 14 days to look into the matter.
Member for Kalawa, I think 14 days are sufficient. Member for Nzi Ward to request for a statement from Chairperson Committee on Infrastructure, Transport, Public Works regarding poor workmanship and incomplete works at Kwajones Mwani Boys Girls. Mwani Boys, Mwani Girls Road in Nzi Ward.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, pursuant to the provision of Article 183 of the Constitution of Kenya, 2010, Section 39(2) of the Counter Government Acts 2012, revised 2020, and the Standing Orders 50 of the Makueni County Assembly Standing Order. It is now 6 months since the contractor was awarded the projects, and it has not been completed, and the contractor has left the site. The meter trains were not installed. Further, the completed works have been done shortly, with the backfilling of the culverts done with loose soils, and the maram as contained in the BQ, and the compacting of the roads was not done well. Mr. Speaker, sir, the contractor has been paid part of the contract sum for the works which were done. However, the works done were shoddy and there is no value for money paid. Mr. Speaker, sir, the chairperson should therefore clarify on the following. Whether the department is aware of the poor incomplete works and that the contractor has left site without completing the works properly. B, what has caused the delay in completion of the works and on the road above the 3 months given to the contractor at the contract signing. C, was there a request on extension of the completion period of the project by the contractor? If yes, provide a copy of such letter. D, how much of the contract sum was paid to the contractor as part payment of the works already done? And if there is value for money for the paid works. E, what action has the department taken or will take on the contractor for breaching the terms of the contract and abandoning the works at the project. F, how much of the funds allocated to the project remains? And G, what plans does the department have to complete the project? And when will the same be done? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Those concerns are very valid, Mr. Speaker, and you allow us 14 days to give a good response. Thank you.
Endeavor to do so, Chairperson. Chairperson Committee on Health Access to give a response to a statement number 22 as requested by member for Ilima Ward regarding lack of medical supplies in health facilities in the county, particularly in Ilima Ward.
Honorable Speaker, I rise to give an additional response to the statement that was sought by the member for Ilima. We gave a response here on the 75th sitting of the County Assembly that was held on Tuesday, 20th August 2024 at 9:30. However, the response was deemed unsatisfactory and the following issues were sought for clarification from the committee, a response that was to come in 7 days. One is whether to provide an evidence on the delayed approval of the cabinet paper, including evidence of when the cabinet paper was first submitted to the cabinet, showing the date submitted, and the approved budget cabinet paper showing the date of approval. Two, the procurement plan for the financial year 2024-2025 on medical supplies. Give a detailed plan for the subsequent expected supplies from second quarter to fourth quarter. And three was the issue on evidence on the trained officers on matters customer care. Provide a list of officers trained, evidence of attendance during training, and the copies of certificates awarded. Honorable Speaker, the committee sought for the above information via letters reference COM 3CA/CHS 2024 volume 34 dated 20th August 2024 and reference COMM 3A/CHS 2024 volume 36 respectively. The executive committee also responded through a letter that was dated 23rd August 2024, received on 26th August 2024. Honorable Speaker, therefore, the response is as follows. The evidence on the delayed approval of cabinet paper and evidence on what the cabinet paper was first submitted to the cabinet, showing the date submitted, and the approved cabinet paper showing the date of approval. Honorable Speaker, this is the response. Prior to the cabinet paper generation, the following processes took place. One, there was quantification of medical supplies need based on the proposed 360 billion budget estimate. This was later revised to 300 million in the approved budget, leading to redoing the quantification of medical supplies. Two, the medical supplies orders for model health centers were also reduced downwards due to the reduction of the budget. Three, there was a delay in the exchequer to settle previous debt, and the last payment were done in July 2024 as per the table below. Honorable Speaker, we have a table tabulating when the transactions were made. We have one that was in July 4th, 2024. We have the reference number, we have transaction details, an amount of 2.8 million. Payee was Mission for Essential Drugs and SAP. Another one was on 4th July 2024. Then another one was made on 15th July. We had two payments in 15th July. We had and we had others two on 17th July 2024. Honorable Speaker. 4, IFMIS was also inactive and therefore could not allow budget uploading and generation of requisition. The delay persisted to early August, leading to the department doing manual requisition. 5, there was also a delay in confirming available stock at KEMSA and MEDS, who usually do their annual stock staking at the end of the financial year. Note the approved budget, the approved cabinet paper is attached, Honorable Speaker. The procurement plan for the financial year 2024-2025, especially on the subsequent expected supplies from second quarter to fourth quarter. Honorable Speaker, there is a table showing subsequent expected supplies. Quarter 2, the quantification is by 5th of October 2024. Expected LPO date will be 15th October 2024. Expected delivery is 30th October 2024. Quarter 3 is by 5th January 2025. That is the quantification date. Expected LPO date is 15th January 2025, and expected delivery is 30th January 2025. Quarter 4, the quantification date will be by 5th April 2025. LPO date will be 15th April 2025, and delivery date will be 30th April 2025. However, supply schedules are disrupted when there is delayed disbursement of funds from the National Treasury. Further, the county government of Makueni signed a memorandum of understanding with the Kenya Medical Supplies Authority on 24th October 2023, which should run for 3 years ending on 24th October 2026, and we have an attached copy. C, evidence on the trained officers on matters customer care. Provide list of officers trained, evidence on attendance during training, and the copies of certificates awarded. Honorable Speaker, the department did not give a response on this question. However, they sought for 7 days to give an answer. So that is the response that we got as a committee.
Member for Limot.
Mr. Speaker, first and foremost, let me thank the committee for the good job they have done so far and for the effort they have exerted on this particular statement. At least at long last, we are receiving real answers, not assumptions. Why am I saying so? Is because if you compare what we have received now with what we had, the other ones were statements, this is data, and data does not lie. Question 1, I can see it has been handled thoroughly, except I'm wondering part 4. How come that somebody was trying to hide behind the governor as a reason as to why delays were caused? Yet we can see now they are bringing out the issue of IFMIS as the main cause of the delays. From where I sit, I can see and I understand technically IFMIS can be an issue. However, from the other statement, we had been made to believe the cabinet was the issue. Now we are seeing the real issues. I will not actually relent to say we need to be very careful, because whatever goes out there can taint the government negatively, yet the government is actively doing the right thing. When you look at part 5 of that question, it also says there was delay in confirming available stocks at KEMSA. I went to the level of looking at the sale agreement signed by the KEMSA versus Makueni account, which says supplies can be actually, the stocks requested are subject to supply depending on availability, which is a normal phenomena in a sales process. So if the stocks are not there, one should be able to know they're not there instead of hiding by the scheme. So I think these are real answers. Question B, I can see they've given us what we requested. We requested for the tabulation of the planned orders, and already this has been produced. If it was written during the time of, within that period of request of the statement, or it was there, that's another story of another day. But I think to me, I would say the department, as realized, needs to be planned and need to be prepared for the ordering levels. Under the schedule, there's a statement I don't agree with, and I think this one they should pick it up as a committee, that however supply schedules are disrupted when there is delayed disbursement of funds from the National Treasury. I've got to the nitty-gritty of the sale agreement or the contractual agreement between Makueni County and the KEMSA, as well as other sales people or sales companies. What they have agreed that there is what we call credit period granted to the Makueni County, which extends up to around 120 days. So in this context, 120 days, we are talking about 4 months, which is a whole quarter. If our account plans itself well, we will never have a scenario whereby supplies are not done within the account. But if somebody sleeps on the job, you can find yourself having planned for other things and they refused or failed to pay the suppliers of medicine. Because the credit period is so nice in such a way that we should not have this kind of discrepancies here and there. The last question, so I would say the last question, they have said they have not delivered the answers. We need to get I've seen. They have committed 7 days. So I believe within 7 days, they'll be able to bring us the schedule and the answers for the other one, for that question. However, the committee has done a good job, and it's good for all of us together to know that life is not a simple thing, and the life lost cannot be found. Matters of health should be treated with a lot of urgency because it's the lifeline of people we are dealing with. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
You are contented with the last question?
The last question, I'm waiting for the answer to see it within 7 days. I don't want to keep on pressing them because even if I press them now and they don't have the answer, it will not help me. 7 days, I'm willing to wait.
So they don't have answer on how they trained?
Yes, it's not there. They have stated clearly that they have no answer for that particular question.
But they trained?
If they train, I don't know. I want to see the answer they'll bring.
No, I'm saying they trained in the response, but they don't have...
Yes, in the previous response, they said they trained.
Yes.
However, the schedule of training is not here. Whether it was done in the air or it was cooked or faked, I don't know. Yeah. I can only be able to respond once I see the schedules and the kind of tabulation they'll bring in relation to that particular question.
Now, Chairperson, these are two answers in one question. That, however, aware that there is a work plan for the quarter 2, quarter 3, and quarter 4. Please take note that quarter 2, the quantification will be done on 15th of October. The LPO will be done on 5th of October. And then the expected LPO is 15th of October. Delivery will be done in 30th of October, presumably 1st of November. Now, quarter 1 is July, August, and September. So quarter 2, it is October, November, and December. Delivery for quarter 2 will be in the second month of the second quarter. So what happens to the first month of the second quarter, which is the entire September? And you find that delivery for the third quarter, which ends on 30th of December, starting 1st of June and July, expected delivery is exactly on the last day of January. So the last day of January, then what happens to the month of January? Because quarter 3 starts in January, ends in March, end March. Then the last quarter, the delivery will be on 30th of April, when the delivery will be on 30th of April, which is essentially is 1st of May. So it's May and June. What happens to the April itself? However, supplies schedules are disrupted when there is a delayed disbursement of funds from National Treasury. Further, the county government of Makueni has signed an MOU with KEMSA, which Honorable Mutoka has indicated that there's a grace period of 120 days, which is a full quarter. And therefore, there's a cushion for one full quarter supply without pay. But above, there is a disclaimer that disbursements are inevitable and therefore the supplies may be interrupted. So which of these two answers do we get from you? Because we must get only one, not two of them. Well, the disbursement issue is addressed on the MOU. So does the delayed disbursement still remain a factor or it's a cleared factor? Can you clarify on those two issues?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. On the first issue of the subsequent expected supplies, it's a matter that we also noted as a committee and realized that the department is starting the process of quantification, issuance of LPO and expected dates during the first month of every quarter. So, Honorable Speaker, it's a matter that as a committee we have also committed to within ourselves to engage the department on this one so that we can agree on a framework where we do not have a lapse when the quarter ends and as we also transition to another quarter. So, Honorable Speaker, we will follow up on this matter because we noted during the committee that they are doing this after the end of every quarter, which also is likely to necessitate lack of supplies in our medical facilities, Honorable Speaker.
Supplies are made at the second month of every quarter. Then the department was right to supply. We were right, they are right that we were not able to get medicines in July, correct?
Yes.
And therefore, there is no need to blame anybody because even the cabinet paper was intended to supply, if this is to go by, beginning from 30th of July. Therefore, July is not covered. If this presentation is to go by systematically.
From my own understanding, Mr. Speaker, I've interrogated the same kind of approach. But in sales and in supplies and restocking, there's what we call restocking levels. So when I looked at the issue of at what point should these orders be done, they are not done when there is strictly zero. They are being done when there is some stock remaining to run up to a particular time, so that by the time they get the supplies, there is a particular sustained stock within the whole scenario. And when you look at the cycles, that seems to be complete, not unless we have what we call abnormal consumption of the stocks, which might arise as a result of a particular outbreak of disease or a particular incident which was not planned for. So in this context, what she's saying is very correct, what you're saying is very correct. If the restocking levels are kept to the optimum or to the minimum, then automatically things will be sorted out.
So do we get your answer and be satisfied, your explanation?
This one already, I'm okay with it in terms of
I'm asking.
Yes.
So your explanation, you think, according to you, that should be the explanation?
That should be the explanation.
Now,
that the restocking levels will be able to cater for that particular gap.
So are you sure they will be? That's a question.
That's the only thing which I know. I'm not sure because somebody else might sit on the job and wait until everything is 0,000. Then you restock or you reorder.
That's why.
And that causes a gap.
Fair enough. Yes. Honorable members, we have said here, we have discussed this matter from as early as 2017. And this matter must be closed once and for all. There's no reason as to why you should, if the supermarkets are able to sustain their customers and you never be told that there is no sugar as long as there's supply and there's a stock and there's a credit period. You mean a supermarket in water can beat professionals who have been in university for 7 years in stocking boxes in shelves of a dispensary? And in fact, it is the KEMSA, when you make the order, KEMSA will deliver the specific number of cartons for drugs to the dispensary. It's not the responsibility of the department to deliver the commodities to the dispensaries. I mean, should we discuss this? Or we should be discussing why there is an outbreak of flu, pneumonia, mpox. This is what the doctor should be discussing. In fact, a procurement officer with a diploma is sufficient to ensure that the supplies are okay. Logistics, certificate, logistics in procurement will be able to sort this matter. So, Chairperson, I'm afraid we don't want to discuss this matter. Lastly, when I checked, I noticed the governor explaining to the citizens of Makueni on social media about the status of health in this county. And he seemed to understand what you are calling the levels and supplies and everything than those in charge. In fact, it is out of his engagement with citizens that they followed him to clarify. So these are things we should not discuss. And Chairperson, you must rest this matter with a commitment from the ECM, because this answer is very ambiguous on commodities and supplies. We should not get to this situation. So when we resume, we must close once and for all on drugs and supplies. I have seen an indication somewhere where it is indicated that the budget was reduced. Who reduced it? There's a statement somewhere. Sorry?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I wanted to maybe contribute a bit about the shortage of the medicines in our facilities. Honorable Speaker, with what has been read by the Chair Health, if truly we have 120 days provision from KEMSA to facilitate medicine, I think we could have sought from the department at what particular time as account did we go for 4 months without disbursement of resources from the exchequer? Because if we get our disbursement on quarterly basis and at no time we've never had received our resources from the exchequer, then this calls for a serious supervision, or because we need to audit this from that department. It is a managerial challenge or a curtailing manner to ensure that there is theft or corruption in the procurement procedures. You know, if account goes a quarter without medicine, those resources are pocketed maybe by someone. We will lose resources, and people, we will be saying there are no medicine. There are no medicine. At no time we should have no medicines. Actually, the discussion should not be about medicine. It should be about bettering our facilities in the health sector. Therefore, this requires us an oversight organ, and per se the Committee on Education on Health to pull its socks and get to that matter seriously, and to ensure that actions are taken against the non-performing county employees, despite which levels. Because now we cannot let our people suffer because someone is lazy or someone is not willing to serve. Actually, I wonder when we talk about signing of performance contracts, every staff must be accountable on daily basis what he or she has done for the benefit of this county. So it is merely managerial problems, failure by department, laziness, and the committee should take actions. That is my take. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Mutua, member from Plenary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for allowing me to contribute on this issue. And Mr. Speaker, I think this is a period that we should be discussing on pushing them to have a system so that they can know when to reorder, Mr. Speaker, at a certain level so that they can be reminded to reorder at that period. And then, Mr. Speaker, someone can ask this. If we are going without medicine, someone can ask the government, how many times have they gone without collecting taxes to our citizens? If they are collecting daily, so our citizens should not miss their drugs anytime. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Mwoki.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I applaud the Committee on Health on the swiftness they have taken the issue of the cabinet papers and missing lack of drugs in the hospital, Mr. Speaker. However, on the issue of the answer that the department trained health workers on customer care, that was the response the other day. Now they are saying that they trained, but they don't have the data. Mr. Speaker, this honorable house is supposed to be provided with honorable answers from ECMs, Mr. Speaker. How can we be told by ECM that they trained and yet they don't have the names of the people who are trained and where, from which health facilities, Mr. Speaker? That is a slap on our face, Mr. Speaker, as an assembly. Number two, Mr. Speaker, the issue of the delayed approval of cabinet paper, Mr. Speaker, has not come out clearly, in my opinion. The ECM is trying to dodge like we don't know. He said that there was a delay on signing of the cabinet paper, Mr. Speaker. We requested that we know when the cabinet paper was ready, when it was presented to the cabinet, and when it was signed, lastly signed, Mr. Speaker, because it said that it was delayed. This one we need to be told because, Mr. Speaker, it is tainting the name of the governor, Mr. Speaker. And the governor was elected by people, Makweni, to deliver services to them, Mr. Speaker, assisted by this assembly. What we are doing, Mr. Speaker, we approved the budget for the Department of Health. We gave the governor, the ECM, the COs, and there are health workers, Mr. Speaker, in the health facilities. And, Mr. Speaker, we have patients. How can the ECM say that the governor delayed signing the cabinet paper? Mr. Speaker, they are talking about logistics, how the cabinet paper is developed. Mr. Speaker, you are not interested in those things. They know them, Mr. Speaker, and they are also wrong. Mr. Speaker, because we don't have to miss drugs in any quarter of the year because we have only 4 quarters. And the last quarter of the year is the one which is supposed to run up to August, Mr. Speaker, when the next order is supplied after we pass the budget. A year has 4 quarters, Mr. Speaker. Quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, and quarter 4. And the supplies for quarter 4 are supposed to be prepared in such a manner that they last up to when they get supplies in the subsequent supplies in either late July or early August, Mr. Speaker. We need not miss drugs in the hospitals, Mr. Speaker, when we have approved the budget. Number 2, orders, Mr. Speaker, the ECM is clear. They are based on needs. Mavindini Health Center requires this. Kitise Kithuki requires this. Makweni referral requires this. Mr. Speaker, it's based, order, needs based. And we don't miss all the drugs at the same time, Mr. Speaker. As the request of the statement has said, because they are automated, we have reorder level. They need to have established the reorder level for every item, be it pharmaceutical or non-pharmaceutical, Mr. Speaker, so that when they are requisitioning, Mr. Speaker, they just press a button. And they see what is needed from Mavindini, from Kitisek, from Kadonzweni, from everywhere, Mr. Speaker. So the committee has tried, but the ECM is running away from responsibility, Mr. Speaker. Is running away from responsibility. We need clarification on when the cabinet paper was presented to the cabinet and when it was signed, Mr. Speaker. Maybe, Mr. Speaker, I did not.
Are you
Whichever way, Honorable Speaker, we not need to hear about delayed approval of cabinet paper. That is not our business. We need to get services, people to get services, Mr. Speaker. We don't want to get to that. They say there was delay. The people know there was a delay, Mr. Speaker. So what we need, we don't expect to get other excuses. There was delay of signing of cabinet paper when we approve the budget. That is our position. The other thing, such issues are demeaning the office of the governor. That is what we are saying. They should not just underestimate the assembly, Mr. Speaker, because we vetted them and they were given the appointment by the governor. We expect them to work for the governor, to work for the people of Makueni, giving respect to the county assembly. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Janet, hold on, request of statement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, health is ranked so highly in the Maslow Landa, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, as leaders, we want to lead people who are healthy. And when we talk about our hospitals who have non-drugs, Mr. Speaker, like the other day when we were doing public participation on sexual and gender-based violence, Mr. Speaker, and we were going through the hospitals, it came to my attention that initially the hospitals used to get drugs on quarterly basis, Mr. Speaker. But now when the drugs finish, they don't know when they will get them again, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I was asking myself, how about the citizens who have chronic illnesses, Mr. Speaker, with diabetes, with hypertension, Mr. Speaker? Those sicknesses cannot wait for drugs, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, the indicators are that our morgues will be full all the time. Why? Because those sicknesses which are managed by those drugs, those people cannot stay without taking them because they manage those sicknesses with those drugs. So, Mr. Speaker, we don't have people to die. Mr. Speaker, I'm not interested on when the cabinet paper will be passed. I don't want to know how busy are the executive, Mr. Speaker. As a leader, I would like to see a health society. I would like to see healthy women, healthy children, healthy youth, healthy elderly people, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this will affect our population and our votes will go low and no one of us is ready to see such kind of results, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, we have to wake up as leaders and do our oversight role and ensure the executive accomplish what they are supposed to do because they have a budget for that. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Leader of the Majority.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the members who have contributed and aired their issues with this particular statement. Honorable Speaker, it's of concern to this House and to the people of Makueni that, and we have seen it in social media everywhere, that our hospitals don't have drugs. Honorable Speaker, even the drugs which were supplied about 1.5 weeks ago, or 2 weeks, I think from very reliable sources, because we members do converse with our electorate, it's like those drugs the stocks have gone down, and probably they are no longer, so many drugs are no longer in stock. So, Honorable Speaker, now considering that this department has other very serious statements, Honorable Speaker. The next statement, in fact, in the order paper, is a statement on the appointment of a chief officer from the same department, and which I know, of course, will elicit a lot of heated debate in this house, because members are aware of what happened, and they want that particular issue to be handled better. We also have another statement which came up last week by the member for Kilili Kalamba Ward about the UHC. We have seen in social media what's affecting our county about the universal health coverage. There is also another statement which was about automation of our hospitals. That's also a very huge statement. And now today, we received a statement of a complete hospital, which was done without the incinerators and probably the septic tanks. Honorable Speaker, I think we have a lot of business with this department. At this particular time, we have a lot of business to deal with this department, and I think, Speaker, I don't know how you'll take it or how you'll get this house, but I think we need to engage more with this department, either through the committee or through the whole house, Honorable Speaker, because I don't think all these matters will be answered as we debate in this house. So, Honorable Speaker, I seek your indulgence on this, because I don't think we can finish the matters which affect health on this session of debating. We need to engage the department better. Thank you.
Member Folema.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Could be actually, regarding this particular statement, I thank God for the professional Honorable Jonathan Mwoki, who has punched a number of holes in the whole statement, on the whole responses. As for the order of the cabinet paper, I have a copy here. The cabinet paper was signed on 24th July, which according to the schedule was already on delay. Looking at the schedule which we were given, and having compared this schedule, you find that 24th signing of the cabinet paper was a delay. The only concern, and I think what the direction the majority of the leader majority has taken might help us, is a scenario whereby somebody changes the answer again, and comes and says it was not again cabinet, it was IFMIS. Then it comes from IFMIS, it was delayed disbursement. So it becomes like we are chasing the tail of a cat, which will only let it rest when it wants to capture that particular tail. But as long as it does not want to capture that tail, it keeps on moving this side. By the time you run towards the tail, you reach where the tail is, it moves this other side. We cannot be held in that way. I would wish to engage the way the leader of majority has suggested, with the real culprits, face to face. Look at the magnitude of the work which we have. It means the statements for them to be finished in this particular health department will go all the way up to December or January. If each statement will take 2 weeks or 1 week, sometimes delays, like now already I have a question here which needs 7 days, which had already been extended by another 7 days. And already the lead statement was given 7 days. That's 21 days. So in this context, I'm saying, kindly, Speaker, I will pray that with the wisdom of the leader of majority, we go that route, we engage the culprits face on as an assembly, then all these answers will be answered. And we move forward for the people of Makueni to get service at most. Thank you.
Chairperson, and as you respond, you need to clarify the statement that the medical supplies need based on 360 million budget estimate. This was later revised to 300 million approved budget, leading to a redoing of quantification. Is this 360 estimate as tabled in the assembly or as revised by the executive itself? Who occasioned the reduction? You will address that as you address our matters.
Honorable Speaker, the 300 million was a revision by the executive. It was not from the assembly.
Fair? Go ahead.
Yes. The other matter on the cabinet paper, Honorable Speaker, the cabinet paper that was submitted to us was given to His Excellency the Governor on the 24th of July 2024, and His Excellency the Governor signed the same cabinet paper on the same day. So, Honorable Speaker, I may not be sitting in the cabinet, but on this matter and the paper that was produced before us as a committee, we want to exonerate the Governor from this matter. It was a delay on the part of the Department of Health Services.
Chairperson, earlier on you read a statement to us indicating that the delay of commodities was as a result of delay in approval of the cabinet paper. Now, the answer, the attachment of the cabinet paper, you're saying reads what?
Honorable Speaker, at the back of the cabinet paper submitted to the committee, it was submitted by Dr. Paul Musila, the Executive Committee Member, Health Services, on 24th July 2024 to His Excellency the Governor. And it is on the same date that the Governor signed the cabinet paper. So, Honorable Speaker, unless the ECM proves otherwise, that is what we take as a committee. If there are any other processes that took place in between, we are not privy to that. We do not have any document to prove, and we cannot take any other explanation, Honorable Speaker.
On the issues raised by the leader of the majority, he feels that you need to handle this matter by inviting the executive committee member, or the matter is referred to the Committee on General Oversight.
Honorable Speaker, as a committee, we have no problem with dealing with the issues before the committee. From where we sit, we have the capacity to deal with all matters health, but if the House feels good and deemed to engage with the ECM, you see, also, Honorable Speaker, as the chair of the House, you can also allow members to ventilate on matters health whenever they feel that they have need to do so and face the ECM directly before facing the committee or before passing through the committee. Honorable Speaker, I will also seek your guidance on that matter, but from the committee, we are able and we have capacity to deal with all issues raised before us.
Have you received the response on the approval of the chief officer? You have the response? Is ready?
Yes, I have it today, Honorable Speaker.
Fair enough, we'll come to that shortly. Or is it Honorable Moki?
Mr. Speaker, there is some clarification you are seeking for Chair Health about reduction on budget approved by this assembly, by the department. I should not answer that. Who caused the reduction? Was it brought to the assembly for approval, or what happened, Mr. Speaker? Because we deal with budgets as a government. They propose, we approve, or we decline.
Honorable Speaker, I think I made a response to that. The budget as submitted was 300 million. The revision was done at the cabinet level. It was not revised at the assembly. The budget submitted to the assembly was 300 million for medical supplies.
What is your point of order?
Mr. Speaker, I don't know whether it's a point of order or a point of getting more information, but I don't know whether it is in order that after the budget is passed, according to the PFM, that the budget for a department can be reduced without having gone through the same house, which actually passed the budget. That means there's more than what we see, and more than what we are hearing. And in this context, this is an answer which needs to be answered by the ECM. Under what conditions that the PFM Act is not followed, that a department can be reduced, or budget can be reduced, besides what was approved by this House. It raises a lot of questions. So I don't know, either you can guide, I don't know.
I think the chair has an answer.
Honorable Speaker, I want members to get me right. The budget that was approved by this House for the medical supplies was 300 million. There is nothing that was changed. The only revision that was done is before the estimates were tabled here. The department had proposed 360 million to the cabinet, but it was reduced at the cabinet level. Then now they had to revise the quantifications to fit the 300 billion that we approved as a House, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Moki, the narrative of 306 and 300, it's neither here. According to the chairperson, the documents in our possession of the budget estimate as presented by the County Executive Committee member for Finance, having been approved by the County Executive Committee, reads 300 million. The Assembly did not increase, neither decrease. If the Executive Committee member had a request over and above 300 to 360, as it might have been the discussions behind the scenes, then the honorable thing to have done is should have indicated that when the executive committee members were requested to appear before the sectoral committees and defend their budgets, that issue was not raised. And therefore, the estimate of the 300 by the executives was presumed to be sufficient to take care of the health commodities and drugs. And therefore, the explanation of how they started with 360, they reduced when it came to assembly, it's neither here nor there, because what they requested from the assembly was approved. So leader of the majority, minority side, as I have indicated, these matters are weighty, and we do not wish to come back to discuss these issues. I hear your proposal that we consider this matter under the Committee on General Oversight, but we will allow the committee to consider the responses on the matter of automation and then systems process in the hospital. And then the other matter is what? There's appointment of the chief officer, and there's the universal healthcare. So can we, and there's a schedule for training where the schedule for training are missing, but the training took place. So we need that information. Chairperson, you interrogate, invite the executive committee member, interrogate, and you file convincing with facts to this House. Failure to which, then the executive committee member will be compelled to appear before the Committee on General Oversight, Committee of the whole House, and clarify on those issues. Next statement is the chairperson. You've said that you are ready with the response on the chief officer, appointment of the chief officer for health. Proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. This is a response to a request that was made by the member for Kikumbulu South, Honorable Speaker, regarding the appointment of the Chief Officer, Health, Human Resource Management and Administration, Dr. Avi Mulei. Honorable Speaker, the statement was requested during the 75th sitting of the County Assembly held on Tuesday, 20th August 2024 at 9:30. And the County Assembly during its 15th sitting held on Tuesday, 5th March 2024 at 2:30 considered and approved the nomination of Dr. Avi Mulei, BD for appointment as the Chief Officer for Health, Human Resource Management and Administration, and a resolution forwarded to the appointing authority for action filed a letter dated 5th March 2024 pursuant to Section 11 of the Public Appointments County Assemblies Act 2017. However, the said nominee has never been sworn in. The chairperson had to clarify on the status of the implementation of the County Assembly resolution on the approval of the nominee to the position of the Chief Officer, Health, Human Resource, Management and Administration. Honorable Speaker, the Committee on Health Services sought a response to the issues raised to the County Secretary by the letter dated 20th August 2024, and the County Secretary responded on a letter dated 23rd August 2024. Honorable Speaker, the committee considered the response and hereby responds as follows. On gazettement of the nominee or the Chief Officer, the nominee was appointed to the County Chief Officer of Makueni County Government, Health Service, Health, Human Resource Management and Administration as per Gazette Notice number 3055, dated 11th March 2024. Gazette Notice is here attached, Honorable Speaker. Then leave of absence. Following the gazettement of the appointee, the new Chief Officer was to be sworn in. However, the swearing-in ceremony was not undertaken. Upon gazettement, the appointee requested for leave of absence from Makueni County Public Service Board, guided by the existing labor laws for public servants. Attached is a copy of the letter of request by the appointee. The Makueni County Public Service Board, during its meeting held on Monday, 25th March 2024, declined the request, and attached is the response letter from the board. The Office of the County Secretary on 5th April 2024 also sought an advisory from the Public Service Commission on grant of leave of absence, and a response was received on 8th July 2024, which is also attached, advising that the Makueni County Public Service Board should reconsider its stand on leave of absence, customize and align its human resource policies and practices with the regulations that are obtained in the national government, as this will ensure standardization and fairness in the service. Honorable Speaker, the office also had requested for advisory from the County Assembly on the same matter. Attached is also a request that was sought to the Assembly, and the response reiterated what is stipulated by the Regulation 38 of the Public Service Commission Regulations 2020. The Office of the County Secretary forwarded the two responses to Makueni County Public Service Board for consideration. Attached are the correspondences. However, no response has been received from the board on the same matter. Consequently, the legal quagmire facing the appointee and the Makueni County Public Service Board has stalled the swearing-in ceremony. Honorable Speaker, whether the Chief Officer, Health, Human Resource Management and Administration is at work, upon being designated as an accounting officer on 7th May 2024, the appointee accepted the designation with the responsibilities described therewith. A letter of designation and acceptance is attached. The County Secretary confirmed that the Office of the Chief Officer, Health, Human Resource Management and Administration held by the appointee was up and running. However, with regard to remuneration, the office confirmed that the appointee does not earn the remuneration assigned to the County Chief Officer, as the legal predicament is yet to be addressed by the Makueni County Public Service Board. Consequently, the advisory by the Public Service Commission and the County Assembly on grant of leave of absence ought to be upheld by the board. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Muthoka, member for Ilimawan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Could be I will seek some clarification from the answers given on that particular statement. See, this is a statement which is touching on all of us in the House. The response says the employee does not enjoy remuneration for that particular position. But the chair has not clarified on whether, besides the remuneration, is the employee enjoying all other allowances, including cars, including per diems, including telephone kind of allowances for that particular position, which actually forms the largest package when you look at it critically. Recently, Mr. Speaker, you will bear me witness, we had a circulation of a particular paper all over Makueni County, whereby some of the officers in the executive department are being accused of taking home very high packs of allowances. And this will also help us to understand how to address such issues when we meet with them. Because at the end of the day, the same executives who are being mentioned are the same positions of the CEO and the like, from director and above. At the same time, I've heard that the CS wrote to the Public Service Board. The Public Service Board could not be able to clarify some of these issues. What reasons we are given as to why they could not be able to clarify these issues? And at the same time, how come the CS was writing back to the Public Service Board? Yet we know, according to County Governments Act, the CS was supposed to have been given power of delegation. And when we are given the powers of delegation, delegated powers through writing, he is at full capacity to execute what is mandated in this particular office. Or is it that the power of the delegated powers we are not seeked from the Public Service Board through writing? Because if he had been given these powers through writing, he does not need to write again back to them on such an issue which needs actually application of policy. The third thing which I would wish to get clarification from the chair is the question of the leave of absence. What reasons were given that this member could not get leave of absence, which is actually supported and anchored under law? Or is it that there are other underlying practices which took place previously and could have been actually a detriment to the granting of this leave of office? Because we also have an issue whereby we know from where we sit, the same Public Service Board at some point forced some doctors to resign instead of getting leave of absence, which again it contravenes the superiority of our constitution in this country. So in this context, I think that answer is hanging in the air. And it needs a lot of clarification as far as the law is concerned. Could be we can get some more light from the chair so that when we respond to this matter, we respond from a point of knowledge, not from a point of assumption. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Madam Chair, is the nominee appointed? Yes, you have indicated that honorable members are given opportunity that the nominee has been appointed by way of a gazette notice. What is remaining is swearing in ceremony. Now, Honorable Kalunda rose on a point of order to seek clarifications whether the resolution of the County Assembly on the nomination and approval of Dr. Avi Bithi was implemented. The implementation of that resolution was by appointing authority under County Governments Act, Section 45, 1 and 2. And 45 provides that the governor shall nominate qualified and experienced county chief officers from amongst persons competitively sourced and recommended by the Public Service Board. And then B is with approval of the Assembly, the governor shall appoint chief officers. The question is, was the chief officer appointed and was the resolution of the County Assembly implemented?
Honorable Speaker, from where I sit, yes. Because the governor has already appointed the chief officer by a way of gazetting that approval. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Meaning then therefore resolutions of the county assembly are gazetted. Perfect. So what is this thing you are calling swearing in ceremony? Can you look at dictionary for the meaning of a ceremony? I'm coming to you. Let us define two basic things, then we will know what to debate on. Is ceremony part of appointment or is a ceremony?
No, it's not. It's not part of, it doesn't form part of the appointment, Honorable Speaker. This is what we say, there are ceremonial aspects of just appointments, where whether you are sworn in or you are not, the issue is the government has already appointed you to serve as a chief officer. He has gazetted you officially and has implemented the resolution of a county assembly.
To take you to the first schedule of the County Governments Act, which provides for oath of office. The first one is oath of office for governor and the deputy governor. It is clearly indicated in the County Governments Act. I thus so and so do swear. The second one is oath of office for the Speaker of a county assembly. I, having been elected, it is defined by letter, by full stop, by comma. The third one is oath of officer for county assembly clerk. The fourth is oath of office for county executive committee member. And lastly is oath of office for county assembly members. Where did you get this oath of office for public officers? Or we take it that it is a ceremony. So where does the county secretary draw a ceremony, and what is the relationship between a ceremony, which is not a constitutional and a legal requirement for a chief officer, as a justification or a reason as to why the chief officer has not assumed responsibilities? Before I give members an opportunity to contribute, clarify.
Honorable Speaker, you see, sometimes I think there are precedences that have been set, which most people may think it's part of the legal framework. From where I sit, I think this is just a precedence that was set and has formed basis for the arguments that you hear advanced on this matter. But from where I sit, whether the chief officer is sworn in or it's not sworn in, it doesn't form part of the basis of his appointment. The county assembly granted that approval, and the county governor also actualized the resolutions of this house by gazetting the chief officer, Dr. Avi Mulei. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Balan Mutua, member from Betini.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable member, if you make a request and you decline it, you could be the first one to request, then you become last when you request again. So if you request that you wish to continue to wait, please hold on. Don't touch the button, let it continue flickering. I follow the order as it is. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, first of all, I would like to appreciate the committee for the good work they have done on that issue. And Mr. Speaker, if I were the requester of the statement, I could have directed it in a different way, because you have answered it how it should be. I just wanted to say what you have said, Mr. Speaker. But Mr. Speaker, if the requester of the statement was wise enough, because you have heard that the CEO has not resumed the work and something to do with the pay of the CEO, if we could have asked the County Public Service Board why they have not confirmed it. Because, Mr. Speaker, the board on its functions, section 59(1) of the County Government Act 2012, which states that the board shall, I want to go to number 2, appoint persons to all act in offices of the county public service including in the boards of the cities and urban areas within the county, and to confirm appointments. To confirm appointments. What is remaining is about to confirm that appointment. But Mr. Speaker, from their letter, a letter was written to them.
You are reading section what?
59(1). In their letter, in their response, they decline. And Mr. Speaker, the board has the mandate. Because, Mr. Speaker, when you go to the regulation of the Public Service Commission, Regulation 2020, 38, that they have quoted, it says, the commission may grant leave of absence to a public officer on the recommendation of the authorized officer through the relevant human resource management and advisory committee for a period not exceeding 3 years. The word is may, Mr. Speaker. If I can say, may is not mandatory, Mr. Speaker. That is why they did not give. So the question we should be asking, is he confirmed? Because we have heard in that act, which I've quoted, one of their work is to, the last part, and to confirm appointments, Mr. Speaker. 59(1). The mandate their mandate is drawn from that section, 59(1). And I was going to point to appoint person to hold or act in offices of the county public service, including in boards of the cities and urban areas within the county, and to confirm appointments. The key word, to confirm appointments. So maybe they have not confirmed that one. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member from Bitine. Member from Bitine, on that point, I'm afraid that an appointment, a law contemplates that appointment by the county assembly or parliament is subject to another confirmation. In fact, the governor has no authority to revoke or not to appoint a nominee approved by the county assembly. He can only resend the nominee back with a memorandum, or otherwise citing reasons as to why he has found that that nominee is not fit to hold public office. So if the appointing authority himself cannot fail to appoint who is a public service board to censure an approval of appointment by the county assembly, in my view, Section 59 is not applicable to appointments of state officers. And if that was the case, then we would say the appointment of the county executive committee members should be confirmed by the board. But remember, we are discussing public service. So if he's a director or other officer, maybe it's applicable. I recall in this law, there's a provision for the Public Service Board to delegate responsibilities and powers on management of public service to a chief officer or another officer. Further, public finance provides that powers of accounting officer are conferred by the county executive committee member to the chief officers or chief executive officers to be accounting officers. But the county executive committee member for finance has no authority to determine who becomes a chief officer. The responsibility is to confer the accounting officer responsibility or withdraw. The Public Service Board has authority to confer responsibility on management of public affairs to a chief officer and may withdraw, but not to confirm or censure appointment or an approval by the county assembly, because that is countermanding the approval of by the citizens of Makueni. I hope that clarification is clear to you. On confirming appointments.
Fair enough on that one, Mr. Speaker. What about the other one on leave of absence, which says the board may, the commission may grant leave of absence, because there is a letter that they did not grant. Can you say something on that one, Mr. Speaker? Direct these out.
Fair enough. I will give further directions on that. Honorable Moneki. Then followed by Honorable Dolo, Honorable Member from Lale Mali, please use your card. You read as Honorable Kimongo and Honorable Kennedy Maneno, who is Maneno is absent, and Honorable Musyoki Pudoka. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as stated in the response by Chair L, Dr. Mbithi is working on the appointment office. He started work according to the response. The bone of contention is the remuneration of the
So he
Dr.
started
Mbithi.
work as a what?
After gazettement, according to the statement, to the response, the office, the county secretary is saying the office is occupied by the person who was gazetted, who is
As
Dr.
a
Mbithi.
what?
Then
as a chief officer or as?
he is there, but the salary is getting is that of a director.
My question is, then does that mean that he's occupying as a chief officer or an officer?
What we can say, Mr. Speaker, Dr. Mbithi is being frustrated. Well, that is what we can say, because Dr. Mbithi is an employee of the Department of Health, Makueni County. He was prior to the appointment by the appointing authority. Mr. Speaker, he was a director, but the governor saw it fit to appoint him to the position of chief officer. And he was vetted. He was brought to the committee on the oath. We did what he's supposed to do, and we approved the appointment. And the governor gazetted the appointment of Dr. Mbithi to that position. Now, when you are appointed, Mr. Speaker, having been employed by the same department, by the same government, Mr. Speaker, what you need is to apply for leave of absence for the job that you are being before, because you're an employee of the county. This is an appointment, not employment, with specifications on the duration you are going to be the CEO. Because the appointing authority is the governor. If Mutula Kilonzo does not become the governor again and does not need the services of Dr. Mbithi as CEO, Dr. Mbithi will revert to his job as director, where he was appointed at, Mr. Speaker. So we are frustrating this officer. He's a young officer. He is supposed to be given a remuneration as a county executive, as a CEO, Mr. Speaker. He is working. The county secretary has indicated that. My prayer is that we stop frustrating Dr. Mbithi, because he's working for the people of Makueni, having been duly appointed by the appointing authority and gazetted. The County Public Service Board has no business. What they require is that the board, the Hospital Management Board of Makueni County, Department of Health, has approved the leave of absence of Dr. Mbithi. Simple as that. And he started drawing the salaries of a CEO. When his business as CEO ends, he referred to his business as director of the services. Mr. Speaker, that is my opinion. It's supposed to be like that. Mr. Speaker, in 2017, I was working for Kenyatta University. I had not reached retirement age, Mr. Speaker, and I was nominated by Muungano Party to be a member of this account assembly, Mr. Speaker. I had two options. Mr. Speaker, to take early retirement so that I get my benefits, because by the time the term was ending, Mr. Speaker, I had only 2 years. I could not go back to Kenyatta University to work there, Mr. Speaker. So I chose to take early retirement. Mr. Speaker, I would have taken leave of absence. I worked for Makueni County Assembly as a county MCA. When the term, if I'm not, I don't get the chance again, I go back to Kenyatta University and work until I reach retirement age. So these things occur, Mr. Speaker, and there is a very clear difference between being appointed to and being employed. Dr. Mbithi is employed by the county government of Makueni Department of Health. He has just been promoted by the governor by appointment to work in the same department.
Order. It is not by the governor. It's by the county assembly. The governor implemented.
Mr. Speaker, the governor is the appointing authority, and he got the name here. Then
according to Kalunda, he implemented the resolution of the county assembly.
Yes.
So
That
you
is
are
the-
part of that appointment. It is not by the governor.
Yes.
It's a promotion, for that matter, processed and approved by the county assembly.
By the county assembly.
And the governor.
And the governor. And gazettement was done by the governor, Mr. Speaker. So, in my opinion, Mr. Speaker, let us not frustrate Dr. Bithi. Dr. Bithi is young, a young mentic. We need not subject him to, he is working already, but the pay, Mr. Speaker, is to get to the standard of CEO, not director, Mr. Speaker, because he's being told to resign so that you can get this other payment package, which is wrong, Mr. Speaker. He needs a leave of absence
Fair
at the
enough.
time. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Kiawood.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, this issue has elicited a lot of confusion in this county. I know, Mr. Speaker, and Dr. Avi is not the only person who is being affected by this issue of leave of absence. And then, Mr. Speaker, from what Honorable Tivu have said, we interrogated this issue with the Public Service Board. And the issue of leave of absence, it's an optional. It depends on the circumstances. The Public Service Board needs to look at the position that person was holding, whether after being elevated to the position of chief officer, does that position going to affect the performance, the department, or the department he was holding to the people of Makueni? If that is the case, it is the wisdom of the Public Service Board to either approve or decline the leave of absence. And from what the Chair Health has read, the Public Service Board did not stop the appointment of Dr. Avi because he has already been appointed through the Gazette notice. I think what they have declined is to let him hold two positions at the same time. Hold the position of chief officer and at the same time the position of a director. That is what they have declined. And I think from the reasons where they have given, I think there is no law to compel them. It is not a must to issue leave of absence, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, because we have had other officers who are appointed as chief officers in this county, and they were subjected through the same method, and I'm sure they resigned and they were appointed as chief officers. I think this assembly cannot exercise two-sided face. We need to make a stand. We need to be clear on this issue and follow what is supposed to be followed. We cannot, as an assembly, force the Public Service Board to issue a leave of absence when they see that position, if it is put on hold until the 3 years are over for the officers to serve as a chief officer, surely that is going to affect the performance or the department he was holding. So that wisdom is left to the Public Service Board. And if they have given their verdict, I think, Mr. Speaker, the honorable thing, the person who was appointed as a chief officer needs to do is to follow suit the way the other appointees did, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Honorable Mudawa.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. It is a very weight matter which we need to look at it from a different angle. Mr. Speaker, you and me and everybody in this house knows a contract is not a contract until they sign documents outlining the content of that particular contract. Every employment is backed by a letter which outlines all the contents and the expectations of that particular engagement. When you look at the law of contract or the Employment Act, besides the gazettement, there are other instruments and other documents which back the operation and the engagement of that particular position. We cannot hold the advertisement as the only appointing or as the only process. There is the letter of contract, there is the letter of offer, which outlines what will this particular person be doing on day-to-day basis. Is he entitled to gratuity? Is he entitled to leave? Is he entitled to a remuneration? Is he entitled to how many hours of working? Now, if you are gazetted and you refuse to sign the letter of offer, then, as you said, that person should have been referred back to us so that we can re-engage further. When I look at this matter, we have 3 gaps which needs to be addressed. The gap number 1, we need to hear from the person in existence. How come that he did not sign the letter of offer, which was there? Because he never signed a letter of offer. And if he signed, then it did not originate from the Public Service Board who declined.
Order member, you are losing us. The officer applied for a job. His name was recommended with others to the governor.
Agreed.
The governor forwarded the name to the County Assembly. The Assembly vetted.
Agreed.
Honorable Moki, Consorto Lawton, vetted and approved. And the governor, by way of appointment,
agreed,
through Gazette, appointed Dr. Avi as a chief officer. Then in a document attached here, it is indicated that the governor has also gone further to give a written appointment. And I've seen that the officer is required to accept the appointment by the governor with approval of the Honorable Assembly as a chief officer.
Or decline.
Or decline. If you decline, then that appointment collapses.
Did he decline?
Not declined, but is it accepted?
Is it
Chairperson?
Mr. Speaker, the county secretary has indicated that they gave a letter designating the officer as an accounting officer, and he wrote back in acceptance, Honorable Speaker. And they are all attached.
So the officer...
Yes, Mr. Speaker, sir.
The appointment by way of a gazette notice, which is there. In the exercise of powers conferred to me under this ABCD, I hereby appoint the person named below as the chief officer in Makueni County Government. Name, Dr. Avi Mulei, responsibility chief officer for health, human resource management and administration. Dated 11th of March 2024, signed by Mutula Closo Jr., Governor Makueni County.
Very good.
That concludes
the process.
The process of assembly. Did the officer decline? No.
No. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Up to that point, that's part I don't know. So that means then, if you look at it from the light of law, somebody sitting in another office is denying a very good citizen of Makueni rights of exercise for his own free will of work.
No, the city is not
because you cannot appoint me
salary.
Yes.
You know, let us not lose Honorable Galunda. Honorable Galunda would want to know whether the resolution of the House has been implemented.
But Speaker,
1 minute.
Yes.
The core mandate of the chief officer is not to earn salary.
Agreed.
Is to serve.
Agreed.
So there is a service need at the Department of Health.
How?
So the person denied, it is not the officer, is the purpose for which County Assembly of Makueni saw it fit to have a chief officer, that service is not being rendered.
Thank you, Mr.
80%.
Speaker.
The rest
Sir,
are
I totally agree with that. However, Mr. Speaker, you can quote me, and I would like the answer to take me up from this point. No matter what position you are employed for, there is what goes with that particular position as a motivation factor, including yourself where you are sitting, Mr. Speaker. There is a motivational factor so that you can be able to meet your basic needs as an employee. Now, from what we read and from what we heard from the presentation, this member is not enjoying the full package of the position he's performing.
If he is not enjoying,
which means,
hold on.
Let me finish.
If he's not enjoying,
yes,
you are undercutting yourself.
Yes.
The fact that he's not enjoying a salary of a chief officer, is he a chief officer? Is he serving as a chief officer?
Yes.
And the answer is no. You cannot be a MCA and you are not attracting the benefits that Honorable Kisungi is attracting. You may.
So where's the confusion? Letter written, accepted, not serving as something is wrong somewhere, Mr. Speaker.
If today we were to invite the chief officer for health management,
yes,
how would Dr. Bithi introduce himself? Is he appointed as the chief officer? Yes.
Yes.
Did he assume that role which he was appointed for?
Yes. He's already serving there.
What constitutes that role? One, other than salary and benefit provided for by SRC,
yes,
there are duties and responsibilities of an accounting officer, management of human resource, taking decision, and a designation as such.
Yes.
Is he now appointed as in office as a chief officer or as acting? Which is which?
You have the letter there. What does it say?
Chairperson, what is he? Because after the governor
gazetted, you have the letter. What does the letter say?
After the governor has appointed, Honorable Mudoka.
Yes, sir.
This is a process. Honorable Mudoka, this is a process.
Yes.
After the governor has gazetted,
yes,
there is further implementation, including getting a physical office to sit.
Yes.
Are you getting my point?
Agreed.
And getting the
We are now working
instruments
together
to work.
Yes.
It is not the responsibility of the governor to give the instruments
of
to
power.
work. Instruments of power and to work. That is the role of the county secretary.
Yes.
You may be elected as a MCA, but you come and you find there is no chamber. So
yes.
you can't legislate.
Exactly.
You find there is no office.
So general facilitation for
execution. All those instruments been placed. If they have been placed, then the officer is working as a chief officer and is addressed as such. Is the officer current appointment serving now, is he a chief officer or acting chief officer? That's the beginning point.
That my final shot, Mr. Speaker, then I sit down, is this. If that is the case, going by what I've heard from that letter and what you have explained, then it means the county secretary, and I will be very particular and very critical, who is supposed to have facilitated the execution of this particular function, needs to be answerable to tell us what has happened, that this person is not given the instruments of work to execute and to serve the people of Makueni. Thank you. That's my parting shot.
Honorable Cosmos.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. As I congratulate the committee, Speaker, I want to make the following. One, that this is a legal argument which is backed by the law. Honorable Speaker, I will cite the article. Hold the articles, Honorable Speaker. One, when the chair is out of speakers.
Proceed, member from Lalemani. The office is at work to serve you. If she leaves this desk, I will not be able to serve you. We are serving you better now. Proceed.
Honorable Speaker, one, I want to quote Article 74 of the Constitution of Kenya, and it states that before assumption of a state officer in state office, acting in state office, or performing any function of the state office, a person shall take and subscribe the oath or affirm of office in the manner and form prescribed by the third schedule and all under the Act of Parliament. In line with the same, Honorable Speaker, I want to take members to Article number 220 of the Constitution of Kenya, which outlines the Constitution 2010, defines who a state officer, and account chief officer is not a state officer. So by the Constitution, which is the supreme law, a chief officer is not a mandatory, is not subjected to taking of oath. Therefore, the doctor is not barred from his duties because of a ceremony. The Speaker, what's the reason the Public Service Board gave as a reason not to grant leave of absence to the member is a resolution of the Council of Governors, because it has been clearly indicated. It is quoted and it is part of the evidence in this report or response by the committee. Therefore, the Public Service Board, going by the resolution of Council of Governors and going against that Code 74 and 260 of the Constitution of Kenya, are not legally binding. Honorable Speaker, however, it is being to have been a practice, then that is an illegal practice, because the law allows that the chief officer, after the due procedures, the appointment, the approval by the assembly, and the gazettement, he should be duly performing his duties and should not be barred from the duties because of a ceremony, which is not a part of the requirement in that provision, Honorable Speaker. Therefore, I'm saying, even those who resigned to be chief officers, because that is the requirement as per the direction from the Public Service Board, that the member should resign just as the others. That is being unfair to the member because he is not subjected to an oath, barely because he is not a state officer. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. That is the law.
Member from Mali, which law in Kenya you can quote provides for Council of Governors? Which law?
Actually, that's why, Speaker, I'm saying
Kenya. Any law that you know there shall be Council of Governors to advise on employment?
Honorable Speaker, I'm saying the supreme law is the Constitution 2010. Any other legislation is under.
Is there a legislation that provides for that Council of Governors?
Maybe through an act of parliament. There is no law.
There is none.
There is no law that provides
It's
council.
association.
I think they just meet caucus.
It's like CAF.
Exactly, it's like CAF. So a resolution of the Council of Government cannot supersede a resolution, a constitution.
Yes, that is
the constitution is superior than a resolution of the Council of Governors.
Perfect.
I am saying we stick to the law, and the law doesn't require a chief officer to take oath. Actually, taking oath is against the law, because the law, Article 260, Honorable Speaker, Article 260 stipulates who a state officer is, and the 74 of it gives details of who should take oath.
Who is a state officer?
The Speaker,
please read.
A person or an officer who are performing state duties, Honorable Speaker. And the state officer includes the position of the president, the deputy president, the cabinet secretaries, member of parliament, judges, governors, member of county assembly, and other ranking government officials. Honorable Speaker, that does not give the provision of the chief officer to be part of a state officer. And that summarizes everything. Actually, that gives a solution why there was that gazette notice. They were within the law. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Francis Mutugo, member for Nzawe Curriculum Board.
So, Speaker, I just want to join this debate. It is very interesting because Dr. Harvey is a person of sound mind. He applied to be a CS. CEO, sorry. He was vetted, he accepted, and we are saying here he cannot assume his duties or he cannot perform his duties because of ABCD. So, Speaker, Dr. Harvey has two options. It is either he's a CEO or a director. So without going around this subject, Mr. Speaker, it is for Dr. Harvey to tell us whether he wants to retain his position as director or he wants to be a CEO. He cannot choose both. Mr. Speaker, out of some consultations, somebody told me that you cannot ask for leave of absence from the same organization. I don't know, maybe I start to be corrected or directed, Mr. Speaker. And I believe very strongly that is why the board, the County Public Service Board, cannot allow or they are reluctant to give Dr. Harvey leave of absence because he's working in Makueni. Actually, what that means is that he's going to block a position for 3 years so that once he's done with the CEO position, he goes back to be a director. The same way others did in the other regime. Mr. Speaker, this is not acceptable. If he feels very strongly that there's something that is going to lose, if he moves from director to CEO, then let him resign. We have competent men and women in this country and in this county who can perform those duties, Mr. Speaker. We cannot be taken to circus by just one person. So, Mr. Speaker, it is my considered opinion that actually we should take the necessary action because our people are suffering. You've seen recently the most debated department in the social media nowadays. It is health. For obvious reasons, Mr. Speaker.
5 minutes to move on second. And I'm afraid we may not be able to proceed. We are short of time. So, Chairperson Committee, you will require to investigate on this matter, including inviting the Public Service Board to give its position on this matter and find out whether the officer is now in office as a chief officer, remunerated under SRC conditions and requirements. If not so, then we need to know, under from finance, why the officer is not remunerated as such, whether he occupied office and whether the officer is executing duties. We need a testimony and a statement from the nominee and the CS on the position of ceremony. You ask the chief officer to quote which section provides for that ceremony is waiting for. We may be wrong. And then the current position ordered by? Now, member for Lima, you have raised an issue that the county secretary may not be able to implement the resolutions because he doesn't have powers delegated to him by the board. Are you aware of that? So you are doubting that? So find out whether the chief officer, whether there is a requirement for him to get a delegated authority from Public Service Board to execute his mandate. And if it is, then provide that evidence. Because you could be dealing with a problem where the cause of the problem is not this, is bigger. The implementer of the resolutions is also limping. So inquire into those issues and respond to us substantively immediately we resume.
Honorable Speaker, as much I would want the Committee on Health to take up this matter, I would ask you to consider that you refer this matter to the Committee on Devolution because they are best suited to deal with the County Secretary and the Makueni County Public Service Board. Honorable Speaker, as Health, we have reported the implementation status of our resolutions as Committee on Health, Honorable Speaker.
Fair enough. Now, you have not sufficiently, on the matter of delegated the devolution, you will take up that matter. But we want to know whether the officer has assumed the role on day-to-day management, acquired an office, and instruments required, and a testimony by the officer himself. and whether the SRC and ranking and applications are applicable. That's what we want to know. Because we could be debating on a matter and the officer is enumerated as a chief officer, has started work and is gazetted, and there's no problem. Fair enough. How we will deal with the board or leave of absence, granted or not, it is up to him after 3 years. Are you getting? The officer may be working very well, but he's battling with leave of absence. How then they will deal when he will be resuming to be told that the leave of absence was not granted or something else? I don't think it's your business for now. But let us find out whether the duties are executed and the person is clearly in the office to render the services as contemplated by this assembly and appointed by the governor to the people of Makueni, irrespective of the salary. Thank you. Next order. Next order. We have 3 minutes.
Order number 8, motion. The report.
Go ahead.
The report of the Committee on Gender, Children, Youth, Sports and Social Services.
No, I direct that we defer the business and proceed to order number 21.
That pursuant to Standing Order 31-4, this Assembly resolves to alter its calendar for regular sessions 2024 to adjourn from today, Wednesday, 28th August 2024, until Monday, 23rd September 2024. Honorable Speaker, as we know, most of our business now moves to some other level of consultations outside the chamber. So, Honorable Speaker, this motion actually brings the adjournment 1 week earlier so that we may deal with those matters as known by the members. And I request the Deputy Minority Leader to second. Thank you.
Honorable members, I now propose the question that pursuant to Standing Order number 31-4 of the Assembly of the Makueni County Assembly Standing Order, this Assembly resolves to alter its calendar regular sessions 2024 to adjourn from today, Wednesday, 20th of August, to 2024 until Monday, 23rd of September, year 2024. The floor is open for debate. Mover of the motion.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I think I'm with the members because a lot of consultation has been done on this. Honorable Speaker, I urge the members that we may dedicate our recess, our short recess, in doing the work of this assembly as scheduled, so that we may, by the time we come back, we may have a lot of business to transact in the House. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
I now put the question that the Assembly approve the motion that pursuant to Standing Order number 31, Sub-Order 4, it resolves to alter its calendar for regular sessions year 2024 to adjourn from today, Wednesday, 20th of August, year 2024, until Monday, 23rd of September, 2024. Will as many as of their opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Honorable members, I have the following obligation to make. Immediately after this sitting, we will convene here in the chamber for a briefing on public participation, which is very critical. Therefore, you don't leave. And time now being 17:00 hours, the Assembly stands adjourned until Monday, 23rd of September, 2024 at 14:30 hours.